Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with Kuroko no Basket Season 1. We have finally reached the finale for Season 1, Episode 25. And yeah, I mean, we're going to see the result of the match between Kaijo and Toho. Kise has reached a point where he's managed to copy Aomine's style. And yeah, it was fantastic. Absolutely amazing episode. I'm so happy the way that the match has gone. What I do think though is Toho will get the victory. I still think that even though Kise has managed to reach a point where he can, he can take on Aomine, Aomine is just still ahead of him. You know what I mean? Like, still just. So it's just one of those things where I feel like just for the story, like the way the story is, unfolding, it will be Serene that get the first win against Toho with Aomine in it. So, but at the end of the day, Kise and Kaijo as well, as a sort of collective, have done themselves proud with what they've, they've basically taken Toho to the to the buzzer. It's a close match, and even though it hasn't finished yet, I still feel like it's going to be, at least singular digit points within that sort of range. So, yeah, Kaijo are a really, really good team. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're going to get into episode 25. If you do want to go watch the actual reaction, link is in the description. There's also a link to the full length if you do want to watch it in full and not just the 10-minute version, then the offer is there for you. But yep, nothing else to really talk about, so we're going to get into the finale of season 1 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 25, the season 1 finale. Yeah, fantastic little wrap up there. It went how I figured it would, with Toho winning. Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, but basically it's just the idea that Serene will be the one to take them out first, and then later on Kise can get his revenge against them too. But I mean, I guess there'll always be a thing that's like left unresolved, maybe, because I mean, the idea that both Serene and Kaijo would love to both get their revenge against Toho, there'll always be a thing of like the first time Aomine loses, he's not going to be the same player, which can obviously affect how things could have gone. Like, if it would be a thing where Serene went and beat Toho, and then later on Kaijo went and beat Toho, there may be always an asterisk next to that victory for Kaijo, because they would be like, oh, well, this was after Aomine had changed the way that he thinks about it and stuff, because there is, I guess, that thing that was talked about a bit in this episode with the when the Toho guys were in the locker room, and they were talking about how Aomine has another level that he doesn't go to all the time. It seems it's only when he can kind of remove that soft spot that he still has lingering around. So once he gets beat, and that whole thing about the only person who can beat me is me, it like drifts away. There could be that thing that never... But then the other thing with that as well, though, I suppose when somebody actually does finally beat him, all of a sudden Aomine has to start getting serious in practice again, because the only reason why he stopped was because he wanted people to catch up, so that he has fun playing his games. And I have to think that surely Aomine, even though he didn't show it, must have enjoyed that game, because Kise was giving him a runaround. Like, he was able to one-on-one him a lot, and actually beat him. And, a few times during the match they obviously defended against each other and blocked them out. So he had to think individually he had an enjoyable game with Kise there. So yeah, I mean, just really good wrap up. I love the fact that Kise decided that he wanted to give it to Kasamatsu, the last stretch of we need this point in order to have a shot of winning. like that's what the game was decided right then and there, that instead of going for the selfish, I'm going to do this on my own, he decided to lay it off to Kasamatsu. So that right there is just pure strength of character, like the change that Kise had, where it used to be all about him doing it by himself, and in the most biggest moment of the match, he decides not to go out on it on his own. Now, when I was watching it, it almost seemed like, again, Kise had that look of like concern on his face, where there was a clear change, but like there was also like a roadblock that hit him, where he was sad that he was like, I don't know if he was sad, it was just like, it was almost like in his head he was like, do I really want to do this, or am I actually doing this? Where it's like what he wanted to do just clashed with what he has been taught to do, which is take everything on by himself. But in that moment, I was wondering during that he was actually hesitating, and because he hesitated, that gave Aomine the chance to block it. I don't know if that was the case or not, because the way Aomine explained it, he said that I knew you were going to pass it to him. So because he mentioned that, my thought process is Aomine would have got it anyway. But regardless, I love the fact that Kise has that change in, mentality about playing basketball, that he can pass it off to a teammate and trust them, to get the points that they need. And that would have been a big couple points as well, because that would have been a 3-pointer. And I wouldn't have doubted for a second that Kasamatsu would have missed. He would have definitely got it in. But dude, Kise was doing everything this episode. He was literally giving it back to Aomine. This was not what I was expecting like a couple episodes ago. Like a couple episodes ago when at the end of episode 23, where Kise is like, I want to do the thing, let me do it, coach. And then the episode ended, and I was like, right, he's probably going to try and copy Aomine. But I was thinking it was going to be like a specific move that would just catch him off guard. And it turns out that no, he literally can copy his whole style. Like, to the point where he's just giving it back to Aomine. Every single thing that Aomine did in terms of getting points, Kise did it. And he even went so far as to actually do something on his own when Kise felt his leg he felt like the strain on his leg. And he ended up like, you know what I mean? Like from over the top, like what Aomine did before, but it was different, you know what I mean? And whether or not it was just like a, shit, I'm going down, I'm just going to have to fucking go for it. Whatever, a point is points are points. And when it was rimming the hoop, I was just like, he deserves that, man. Just let it go in. Thankfully it did. But yeah, like, Kise went to an extra level that I didn't think he would be able to reach this soon. So it was just really, really cool to witness. But yeah, and the thing is that Kise he's just completely changed his mentality around everything, from like passing to his teammates to it being team play. And I love the last last line of the match that he gives, where he says, I don't regret my decision there, it's just that I personally wasn't strong enough. You know what I mean? Like, almost as if to say, like, I started copying you at the back end of, the third quarter. If I do that for the whole match. That's the thing as well, like, about Kise is, that's, in the two matches that we've seen him play, that has happened twice, where he has not gone to a certain extent until at least like the last two quarters of the game. He did it in the practice match against Serene, where he didn't pick up speed until later on, and then the same one in this. but I guess that's just natural with it being kind of with the way that he does play with copying everything like that. Everything is going to take like I guess time for him to completely understand what to do, especially when going up against a generation of miracles. Like if it's any other player, Kise can just be like, yeah, I've got it. After seeing it once. But I can obviously see why Awamine, it's like a different kettle of fish. Like you just need to really just focus. And Kise just had focus for a long period of time, to the point where like, you know, that and the adrenaline was just keeping his mind occupied while his legs were just like giving way, you know, with like just increased amount of strain. But listen, Kise proved a point, and that just cements him for my my favorite Generation of Miracles character. I said that like a while ago. I think we were introduced to Awamine, but I did say that like I just really like Kise. But I think like after that match, he's definitely up there. We haven't seen a lot of. We've seen practically nothing of Akashi. We saw a bit more with Murasaki Bara. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Murasaki Bara might not be a standout, I don't think, based upon his personality, because he's very like tired, you know, and he doesn't really give nothing. So I don't think, like, you know, I don't see there being much in the way of, oh well, I can enjoy his personality, because it's a bit taking a back seat, you know. And I suppose, like, even in terms of basketball, like, I don't know really how much I'm going to enjoy that either, because it's like, it's going to be like just purely defense, really. I suppose he could attack, but I don't know if he does do that. And also we don't know what his team's like either, so, you know. But I mean, even like for Haikyuu, for example, like Date Tech is kind of like low on the spectrum of like the teams in that show that I'm like, not that I don't like them, it's just like a lot of other teams take precedent because of the way that they play their game. It's just that defending is generally considered like, I suppose if I liken it to football, in football there's a whole thing where like if you're a defensive team, like if you just sit back and soak up pressure, it's considered like a negative way to play, you know what I mean? So instead of like the ones that like attack, you know what I mean? So obviously, you know, when you've got the likes of Toho and Kaijo and Serene that like to attack, it's enjoyable to watch them. It's not as enjoyable to watch somebody like continuously block and defend and everything like that, you know. So it will be interesting, and I think the fact that I'm just completely like underestimating him, I suppose, in terms of like, I'm putting him like a low expectation bar on him, but then that could just work out in his favour. And it could just be a thing where like I just really start to like him, and because I had low expectations, it puts him higher up. But yeah, I mean, and then in terms of Akashi, like there's not a lot to go on him for, other than he's very calculating. He's a point guard, and it seemed like the one time we did actually see him like in a basketball match, it was very brief, but we saw him like coordinating the play, even though he didn't have the ball. He was like, it was like he was looking, saying like pass to him, or anything like that, you know what I mean? So it's like he has like it's like he just sits back and like strategizes like he's playing chess, or I guess shogi, like he was playing, you know. So yeah, he's a very calculating one, Akashi. So it's going to be interesting to see what the case is when we eventually get to like a match with him, because that's going to be like really interesting, because that would be a completely different game. I feel like, I think that's what's great about this show, is that the individual nature of every player, because their ability and role on the court is so different from one another, it means that every match against a Generation of Miracles is like very different. which I really like, because that means it's not just like a repetitive thing every match that they play. It means that there's a different hurdle to overcome or a different strategy to play. And I'm really looking forward to season 2, mainly because I think the top reason why I'm so excited for it is with Kiyoshi coming in. I think with him joining, it's going to really like open up the team to. Well, first of all, they're going to be on another level with him playing. I think he offers the team a hell of a lot on the court and off the court as well. And it's just going to take them up to another level, and also like a different style of play and something that they can change in and out throughout the game. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'll probably say my top 2 favorite characters probably as of right now is probably Kiyoshi and Kise. I mean, I suppose it is helped by the fact that like Kiyoshi's just literally come in very recently, and Kise has just basically gone one-on-one with Awamine and give him a run for his money. But yeah, I mean those two are just really high up there. I'll give a special mention to Kasamatsu as well, because I think like he's like a really special character. We didn't really get to see much of him at the very beginning of the show, but like since the beginning of this game especially, with him having this like the weight on his shoulders of what he thought he fucked up, and then being given the captaincy, and at the end there when he's just like, I mean, he doesn't want the rest of his team seeing the captain be weak, so he does it when they're away, and he can just kind of wallow in it and take it as is, by himself, which I mean, again, when I talk about the mentality of a game, like everything like that, like mentally the captain has to take a lot on his shoulders, so in a way it's interesting that when he was talking about that before the game, that he was given the captaincy after he fucked up. It was almost given like, it was almost like a way for him to, it was like a punishment almost. It was like, you take the responsibility then, but it's like, because obviously the more weight is on his shoulders now, like he has to bring everyone back up again, so I can see why it's definitely like infuriating for him. And I mean, when he's obviously, when he picks up Kise and everything, Kise just can't, like, he's struggling to stand, and it's like that almost like it's very like a sort of sympathetic thing, because it's like Kasamatsu could clearly see that Kise was not like, like he was upset, but also the fact of like he can't stand up, so it's like that, like everything that literally just transpired, and the fact he can't stand up, and he's like fucking, you know what I mean, like just really like pissing him off, like pissing himself off. So it's it was just all around, I really like Kaijo as a team. Obviously we haven't really got to meet more of them aside from Kise, Kasamatsu, and Hawikawa is in the names. I'm sure he's like said maybe one of the other guys' names as well beforehand, but I can't remember, unfortunately. But I like them as a team, and I guess when we eventually get to that sort of revenge match for Serene versus Kaijo, it's going to be hard to kind of back one over the other, because like obviously I just but I mean really really cool way to end off the season. And next season will be, I assume, just the Winter Cup, and we'll see what happens with that. They did mention that even in this Inter High, there is still other Generation of Miracles, which obviously the fact that Murasaki Bara was there, I assume that Yosen, which is the school that he's from, is playing in it as well. Now the other thing is obviously, is Akashi there or not? Because the Inter High is only taking place around Tokyo, right? So at least I think it is. Or is it the? Yeah, it's just the Inter High, so it's only a section, right? I could be wrong. It's just that I think, like, considering all of Japan, it would be the nationals where at least, anyone could be, you could go up against anybody there. But yeah, who knows? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much all I've got. I did write down, I thought it was interesting that episode 24 had an entirely original opening for it, because I did notice, like, when I was watching episode 24 and I was just going through the opening, I was like, that looks new. Okay, I best not, because I was starting to see, like, Kise versus Awamine, and I was like, shit, it's like it could ruin something else. So I just didn't look, because I didn't know if it was going to be in this one and, like, the episode 25 as well. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I've got. So yeah, next season is going to be very, very interesting indeed. Like I say, I can't wait to see Kyoshi and what dynamic that just brings to the whole team. They're definitely going to go up a level, and obviously with Kagami and specifically Kuroko as well, trying to learn his own drive, I think it's going to be very, very cool. And that's the thing as well, is like, with it being a season 1, you can see where they placed their budget and where they were, like, not. Like, there was obviously moments like where the art looked really off. Like, specifically there's one that I did mention during a reaction where it's just like Kagami's eyes were like so off. And it was funny, but like, I mean, that's the whole thing with season 1. Season 1s in general for anime, like, their budget is nowhere near what it could be in a season 2, depending on how well it does. It did. And obviously, judging by the fact that it ended up getting like 3 seasons and a movie, I'm pretty sure it did well. So yeah, I mean, I just can't wait for the next season and ongoing from now on, because the budget will have increased. That means there's going to be a hell of a lot more very, very nice things to look at, and obviously more characters and everything to be introduced, and different opponents. So yeah, it's going to be really good. But that is all I got. So thank you everyone for watching. If you do want to see the episode 1 and episode 2 to season 2, then you can right now by becoming an early access tier patron, and you can get access to those and start on my journey for season 2 right now. There's also the full length tier in the Patreon as well, where you can watch all of the episode reaction along with me, and not just the 10-minute one. And there is an exclusive tier where you can watch movies and everything like that, movie reactions. So yeah, I mean, the movie for this, when I eventually finish the series, will be up on there. So yeah, keep an eye out for that whenever that is. It's going to be a while yet, because obviously you've still got 2 more seasons to get through. But yep, that's all I got. There's also a link to the Discord in the description as well. If you want to go over there, then you can do. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.